Hey, welcome to Janktown. Will here, and today we'll be discussing the new Lord of the Rings Scene Bundle cards that are coming out later this holiday season. Now, this was recently spoiled right in time for MagicCon Vegas, and if you don't know about them, there will be 24 new cards that'll be coming out on top of the already released Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth set. These are coming in 4 different types of bundles, and they're gonna be guaranteed, much like how Frodo, Sam, Gollum, and the One Ring came with the OG bundle during Tales of Middle-earth. I've talked about the Gandalf set in a previous video, so if you want to check that out, there is a link in the description down below, or you can check that out over here. But today we'll be talking about the Witchking bundle, who is a new legendary Rakdos creature. But I won't be talking about him. Instead, I'll be talking about the 5 other cards that come in a bundle with him. So if this sounds good to you, I hope you can leave a like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And let's get into these cards. Now, we are using a rating scale where we talk about like what is high power, low power, as well as what is niche and what is more stapley or more generic. The background sort of represent the different quadrants here, where Soul Ring is like just a high-powered staple, fits in any deck. Low-power staple would be something like a Manalith, 3 mana value mana rock. It's kind of outclassed by today's standards. A niche high-power card is something like the First Sliver, one of the most popular Sliver commanders, and probably something you'll really want to run in your Sliver deck. But then a low-power niche is something like Dungeon's Descent, because even if you're running a Venture deck, you probably are still cutting this land. Now, I will be reading a lot of these Witchking cards as if for the first time. I know they were part of the leaks like a few weeks ago, but I've practically forgotten what they are, and so I'll be giving you guys my honest first reactions, off the cuff takes, as well as trying to rank them here in the system that we've sort of set up. Alright, so our first card is a card called Call Forth the Tempest. It's an 8 mana value sorcery with Cascade and Cascade. Okay, that's a lot of value already, so it's a good thing it's 8 mana value. Call Forth the Tempest deals damage to each creature your opponents control equal to the total mana value of other spells you've cast this turn. Wow. So it's kind of like a one-sided board wipe? Because Cascade, even if you're running like, what? A usual like 3 mana value, 4 mana value stuff, you get them twice. It's kind of like 7 damage already. But again, it's an 8 mana board wipe. But you do get the value of 2 other spells coming in. So I don't know how niche this is. I mean, it does sound niche because it almost saying like, oh, why don't you build a Cascade deck? But even then, the ability itself is already pretty good in that it's a one-sided board wipe for you. So this is tough. Like, it's kind of in the middle, but you know what? I'm kind of like leaning towards it's just one of the really good board wipes. Granted, it is at 8 mana, meaning it is one of your top value, or rather top curve spells. But I think it's plenty powerful, and I should probably move this one a bit down given how good this is. I think it is a bit staple, but here, I think we can settle on it here. I think it is a bit higher power. 8 mana value is steep, but the effect is huge. Meaning at 8 mana value, I mean, this can be the game ender, especially if you have a decent board or some decent attacks coming in after this. Plus, again, you get the 2 spells, which can also be devastating. Like, it could be something that'll refill your hand, something like this. Really good card. I'm pretty excited for that. You know, maybe even a bit higher. Alright, the next card is something called Nazgul Battle Mace. Oh, this gotta be good, right? 5 mana value, equipment. Equipped creature has Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control unless the player pays 3 life, equip 3. Alright, a little steep. That's a lot of abilities. Menace and Death Touch, that is just like awful to deal with because you're gonna be losing 2 creatures. Annihilator 1 means you'll probably lose another one before it even hits. And if you sacrifice it, you gotta eat the 3 life, because odds are you probably don't want your opponent getting that thing. The only barrier to this is it's 5 mana value and then it's equip 3. So that's already a lot of mana. You're probably going into either Voltron or something with cheaty equipment stuff. So it's kind of niche. I don't think it's good enough as just on its own, as if this is gonna be like your main swinger. You know what I mean? It is a lot of damage. It is a lot to deal with. If you have Tramplers, Death Touch and Menace becomes even more like annoying to deal with. I think this is pretty high powered. It is a lot of mana value though, which kind of like sinks it a bit. So it's a little more niche, I'd say, because you want to be able to be in decks that can then equip this easily or be able to cheat artifacts easily. I don't think you can just put this in any creature deck. So I'd say it's here. Is it just as good as the protection thingy? Maybe not. I think it's a little better. Wow, this Witchking bundle is already winning me over. We're only 2 cards in. Alright, next card is Felled Beast of Mordor. Now, the original Felled Beast in the Lord of the Rings set kinda was bad. Let's see how this one does. 4 mana value, 3/3 Flying Drake Beast, Devour 1. So when it ATBs, you can sack any creatures, and that many +1/+1 counters goes on this. Whenever Felled Beast of Mordor enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent loses X life, you gain X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So it kind of drains if you just sack. So it's a good finisher, I guess, if you're in Aristocrats. It's good as well if you want a big beater, if you're going wide and you just can't seem to get through. It's okay. You know what? This will see play. It's kind of in the middle. You don't want to jam this just in any deck. You want to have creatures to go along with it. So in a way, it is kind of niche, but you know, it's also pretty good. It does drain. You know what? If you just sacrifice 2 creatures, it's not like the drain is that impressive. So you know what? I'm just moving this even further back. But you know what? Even further back, it is pretty usable. It's pretty good though, I'd say. It's a good top end, especially in these go wide decks or in these sacrifice decks. It's always a good value to have. And hey, if you sacrifice like 3 creatures, then you get a 6/6 flyer for 4. Not bad. I'm just considering whether to move it higher or lower than the Battle Mace. You know what? It's a sack outlet. It does well. I'm moving it higher than the Battle Mace. Because the Battle Mace, I mean, it's just so much mana. So this is pretty good. It is a bit more niche though. Alright, next card is gonna be... Ooh, Minas Morgul Dark Fortress. So the Minas Morgul in the original one was a Cabal Coffers. That was an awesome card. This is a legendary land, ETB's tap. Okay. Adds a swamp. Okay. Pay 4, put a shadow counter on target creature. For as long as that creature has a shadow counter on it, it's a wraith. Huh? Oh, okay. It's literally giving the ability shadow. Okay. How good is this? The wraith thing makes it feel niche, but you know what? Who cares about if a creature's a wraith or not? It usually never matters. Unless you're in a Wraith deck, like a Witchking deck. But the Shadow is interesting because it's perma-unblockable. You can also make your opponent's creatures unblockable if you want to take someone out. So that's actually also pretty interesting. I think it's a really good land. The tap part is just kind of like the sus thing for me. But an unblockable creature is always good. And it's something that you could probably run in a lot of decks and not be so sad about the downside. So we're definitely moving it in the staple zone. Rogue's Passage sees a lot of play. This one is a staple for black decks that want another, copy of that ability. But it's not like Rogue's Passage is really breaking the bank. So it's pretty high powered, but it's pretty staple. I'd say this is a good range. I don't think it's as good as the Beast, but it's still really good. Alright, last card now is Mordor on the March. Wow. Alright. 5 mana value sorcery, exile a creature from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, gains haste, and exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Okay, Storm. Yo! What? This is powerful. No? You ritual this out, then you'll need stuff in your graveyard. But it's kind of like a Rise of the Dark Realms almost. No? This is a huge comeback card. Even if you get like 3 creatures with it, this is crazy good. No? Am I just overreacting? No way. It's good, right? Like, cause you exile a creature, meaning you can't get multiple copies of the same creature. So you will need like some creatures in your graveyard, not the hardest if you're looting away. And if you're running a decent curve, or if you're running Reanimator, you're probably running then that mix of like cheap discard spells, cheap reanimation spells, cheap sack stuff, maybe ones that refund you a treasure back, like Deadly Dispute. And then you have your bombs, which you hope to never really play. No, I think this is strong. It's just really niche, and it's gotta be a Reanimator style, graveyard-based thing. So let me just make this a bit smaller, but I think this is really strong. It's probably the strongest card we've seen so far. Sorry, Janktown logo, I'm covering you up. But I think this is one of the best cards, I think, in this bundle. Probably one of the best cards we've seen so far. Wow, sorry Gandalf set, but this Witchking one is pretty bonkers. A lot of good value in these cards, whether that's the double cascade one-sided wipe, the Mace, the beast that's really good for aristocrats, this insane exile thing, and the useful land. It's really good. But that's it for this bundle. Those are the 5 cards plus the Witch King. This one looks great. It's really powerful, especially if you like these playstyles. They are a bit more niche, but those are my first takes. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree, disagree? Is the Storm one really as insane as I think it is? Anyway, let me know in the comments, and I always appreciate the support. If you could leave a like, share, and subscribe, that really goes a long way. Until next time though, friends, stay inspired, and I'll see you soon.